You're watching Phantom Astronaut's Night Terrors, where the eerie echoes of folklore find their way into the present. Tonight, we take you to the wind-swept valleys of Wales and the chilling legend of the Mari Lwyd, a spectral figure that walks the darkest nights of winter. Part tradition, part terror. This is a tale that blends myth with unsettling whispers of the supernatural. If you enjoy uncovering the spine-chilling mysteries of the past, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to help our channel grow. Check the links in the description for more ways to support us. Now, settle in as we delve into the tale of the Mari Lwyd. The wind swept through the small Welsh village, carrying with it a bitter cold that seemed to seep into your very bones. Thick clouds obscured the moon, and the narrow streets, lined with old stone cottages, were deserted. It was Twelfth Night, the eve when the old year was finally laid to rest, and the new one was welcomed with firelight and song. But for the villagers, it was a night to bolt the doors and whisper hurried prayers. Alice Jones sat by the fire in her modest cottage, her knitting needles clicking steadily as she worked to keep her hands busy. Outside, the wind howled like a living thing, and the flames in the hearth flickered uneasily. Her husband, Rhodri, was at the pub, likely 3 pints deep into his New Year revelry, and she was alone with her thoughts. The tales had started weeks ago. Soft murmurs in the churchyard, half-heard whispers in the marketplace. They said the Mari Lwyd had been seen again, its spectral form moving through the village like a shadow, cast by something long forgotten. Alice tried not to believe the stories. She told herself they were just that, stories. But tonight, with the wind keening outside and the shadows pressing against the windows, she felt the weight of the legend pressing down on her. The Mari Lwyd was no ordinary ghost. It was a harbinger, a creature of bone and spirit that roamed the dark streets, its skull gleaming like frost under the moonlight. They said it came to test the living, knocking on doors and demanding entrance. If you couldn't outwit it with clever rhymes, it would force its way inside, bringing ruin and despair in its wake. It wasn't death it brought. Not exactly. It was worse. A hollowing, a slow unraveling of everything that made you human. Alice shivered and put her knitting aside, her gaze drawn to the window. The frost had etched delicate patterns on the glass, but beyond them, she thought she saw movement, something pale and spectral, just at the edge of the garden. She told herself it was the wind. The first knock came just after midnight. It was soft at first, almost polite, but insistent. Alice froze, her heart hammering in her chest. She waited, hoping it was just a trick of the storm, but the knock came again, louder this time. She rose slowly, her legs trembling beneath her. The cottage felt suddenly vast, the shadows stretching and shifting in the dim light of the fire. She approached the door, her breath shallow, and pressed her ear against the wood. "Who's there?" she whispered, her voice barely audible over the wind. For a moment, there was only silence. Then, a voice, low and melodic, but with an edge that made her blood run cold. "Open your door, Alice Jones. The Mari Lwyd has come." Her hand flew to her mouth, stifling a gasp. The voice didn't sound human. It was too smooth, too precise, as though the words had been practiced 1,000 times. She took a step back, her mind racing. She had heard the stories, but she never imagined. Another knock, harder this time. The door shuddered in its frame, and the fire guttered as though caught in a sudden draft. "Open your door," the voice said again, more insistent now, "or I'll open it for you." Alice scrambled to the hearth, grabbing the iron poker. Her knuckles were white as she gripped it, her breath coming in short, panicked bursts. She knew she couldn't open the door, not without rhyme. That was the rule. If you could outwit the Mari Lwyd, it would leave. But if you faltered... Her mind blanked. She couldn't think of anything. The rhymes wouldn't come. All she could hear was the pounding of her own heartbeat and the whisper of the wind outside. The knocking grew louder, more frantic. It was no longer polite. It was angry, insistent, a demand that could not be ignored. The voice rose with it, a sing-song chant that sent chills down her spine. "Alice Jones, you know my name. Let me in, or bear the shame. I'll bring despair. I'll bring delight. Choose your fate this winter's night." Her mouth moved, but no words came. She felt the weight of the legend pressing down on her, the years of stories, of warnings, all rushing back in an instant. The door creaked, the wood splintering under the force of the knocking, and she knew she was out of time. "I cannot let you in," she screamed, the words tearing from her throat. "Leave me be." For a moment, there was silence. Then the voice laughed, a sound like bells twisted and broken. "Very well," it said, the words dripping with malice. "But know this, Alice Jones. I will return." The knocking stopped, and the wind outside grew still. Alice collapsed by the hearth, the poker falling from her hands. She sat there for hours, staring at the door, waiting for the sound to come again. But it never did. When Rhodri returned in the early hours, his cheeks flushed with drink, he found her still sitting there, her eyes wide and haunted. She didn't speak of what had happened. She didn't have to. He saw the marks on the door, the faint skeletal imprint of a horse's skull. And he knew. The Mari Lwyd had come. For years after that night, the village whispered of Alice Jones, and the night she faced the Mari Lwyd. Some said she was lucky to survive. Others said she was cursed. And every winter, as the nights grew long and the wind howled through the streets, the villagers made sure to keep their rhymes ready, just in case. Thank you for joining me on this chilling journey into the legend of the Mari Lwyd. If tonight's episode of Phantom Astronauts Night Terrors sent a shiver down your spine, remember to like, share, and subscribe to help the channel grow. Don't forget to check the links in the description for more ways to support us. This has been Phantom Astronauts Nocturnal Tales. I'll see you out there.